Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something suddenly shifted? Not because you said anything, not because you did anything, but because your presence alone changed the atmosphere. Conversations lower, energy tightens. People become aware without knowing why. Maybe you felt it before. That strange moment where everything seems to pause for half a second, and maybe you brushed it off. Told yourself you were imagining things, that it didn't mean anything. But let me ask you this. Has a complete stranger ever looked at you like they recognized something in you? Something you hadn't fully discovered yet? Like they were seeing past your face, past your words, straight into something deeper. That is not coincidence. That is not fantasy. And it is definitely not an accident. That is the energetic signature you are emitting. That is your frequency speaking before your mouth ever opens. And if you are listening to this right now, it's not random. You didn't just stumble onto this message. Something inside you recognized it first, before your mind could analyze it. Pause for a moment. Stop scrolling. Don't let this play in the background like noise, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary information. It's an activation. There is a reason you never fully fit in, a reason you felt different even when surrounded by people. A reason you always sensed you were slightly out of sync with the world, like you were built from a different material, like you spoke a language few people understood, like you perceived things others simply couldn't see. For years, you probably thought something was wrong with you. Too sensitive, too intense, too deep, too strange for this world. But today, you're going to hear the truth. You are not weird. You are an antenna. You are not misplaced. You are tuned to a different frequency. And that frequency has a name. It's called the CTT frequency. The frequency of divine perfection, the frequency of the chosen, the frequency that bends reality without making noise, the frequency that causes the environment to respond to you, even when you do nothing. Now listen carefully, because I'm about to describe very specific signs. And if you recognize even one of them, this message was designed specifically for you. First sign: strangers open up to you without warning. They tell you things they don't tell anyone else. Deep fears, hidden wounds, stories they've never shared with family or friends. In grocery stores, on buses, standing in line somewhere ordinary. You didn't ask, you didn't invite it, yet they talk. That's because your frequency creates unconscious safety. Second sign: when you enter a place filled with tension, the energy shifts. Arguments soften. Voices lower, the atmosphere stabilizes. Even if you remain silent, even if you don't interact, your presence regulates the space. Third sign: children and animals are drawn to you instinctively. They stare at you. They approach you. They calm down around you because they haven't learned to ignore what they feel yet. They still perceive truth through frequency. Fourth sign: toxic people can't stay close to you for long. At first, they're intrigued. Your light attracts them, but eventually they pull away. They avoid you, or they attack you for no clear reason, because your frequency forces them to confront themselves. And not everyone is ready for that. Fifth sign: you've had experiences you can't fully explain, dreams that felt more real than waking life, moments where you knew something before it happened, a sense of guidance, protection, presence. Now pause. How many of these did you recognize? If it was even one, type 777 in the comments. Not as superstition, not as ritual, but as a declaration. I recognize who I am. I accept my frequency. I'm ready to understand the power I've been carrying. And here's where it gets deeper. Because for most of your life, you thought you were the problem, that you needed fixing, that you had to adjust, that you needed to become more normal. You tried to dim your intensity, lower your sensitivity, shrink yourself to make others comfortable. And every time you did, something inside you died a little, because you were denying your design. Listen carefully. Your difference is not a flaw. It's your weapon. That feeling of not belonging was not punishment. It was protection. God kept you separate because what you carry cannot be contaminated. Your calling requires a level of purity that crowds cannot sustain. Isolation was not abandonment. It was training. Every rejection redirected you from a lesser destiny. Every lonely season strengthened your inner structure. Every misunderstanding refined your frequency. And now, you are ready to understand how this really works. Because what you emit is not symbolic, it's real, it's measurable, it's powerful. Your body is a living antenna. And what you thought was a burden is actually your greatest power. Everything in this universe is vibration. What you call solid, your body, your bones, your blood, your skin, is not actually solid at all. It is energy moving at specific speeds. Every particle is oscillating. Every atom is humming. Every cell is transmitting information. And when vibration reaches a certain pattern, it creates frequency, a signature, a signal that announces your presence before you ever speak, before you move, before you make a decision. Your frequency is already communicating. This is not spiritual poetry. This is not mystical exaggeration. This is quantum truth wrapped in ancient wisdom. Because what science is only now beginning to prove, Scripture has been declaring for thousands of years. You are not a body that happens to have a soul. You are a soul operating a body. And that body is not random. It is engineered, designed as a multidimensional antenna, built to receive and transmit information from realms beyond the physical. Let me explain it in a way your mind can grasp. Imagine standing in a room filled with radios, hundreds of them, each one tuned to a different station. Rock music, news broadcasts, classical symphonies, sports commentary. All of those frequencies exist at the same time, in the same space. They overlap. They pass through each other. They pass through you. But you only hear the station your radio is tuned to. The others don't disappear. They're still there. Your device simply isn't calibrated to receive them. Now understand this. You are the radio, your mind, your nervous system, your emotional field, your spirit. Together, they form a living receiver. But here's the part most people never realize. You are not only receiving signals, you are broadcasting them. Every thought generates a wave. Every emotion sends a pulse. Every word creates a ripple that moves outward and touches reality. And depending on the frequency you emit, certain people are drawn to you, and others are repelled. This is resonance. When two frequencies are compatible, they amplify each other. When they are not, they interfere, they clash, they reject. That's why you can meet someone and feel instant familiarity, comfort without explanation, connection without effort. You're tuned to the same station. And that's why other people feel draining, tense, uncomfortable. Not because they're evil, not because you're superior, but because you're operating on different frequencies. Now here is where it becomes truly important. Most people move through life like broken radios. They receive everything and filter nothing. They absorb fear from the news, anxiety from social media, negativity from their environment, collective panic from the masses. Their signal becomes distorted. They can no longer hear the one frequency that matters most, the frequency of heaven, the frequency of divine alignment, the frequency of truth. But you were designed differently. Your antenna was calibrated before birth. That's why you can walk into a room and feel something is wrong, even when everything looks normal. That's why you read people without trying, why you sense lies before they're spoken, why manipulation feels obvious to you. Your antenna isn't broken, it's tuned. And that tuning gives you an ability most of humanity has lost: discernment, the ability to see through illusion. Because we live in a world built on deception, a system engineered to keep you distracted, disconnected, asleep. You're told happiness is found in accumulation, that your worth equals your bank balance, that success is measured in likes, numbers, approval. You're told truth is relative, that nothing is absolute, that everything is negotiable. But when you operate at this frequency, those illusions collapse. They dissolve like fog under sunlight. You begin to see the system for what it really is: a matrix designed to sever you from your power. You recognize mass. You sense poison beneath golden opportunities. You feel when an easy path leads to a dead end. And that is what unsettles people. Because you cannot control someone who sees clearly. You cannot manipulate someone who vibrates above your tactics. You cannot deceive someone whose antenna is aligned with heaven. That's why you've been silenced. Why you were labeled too sensitive, too intense, too much. Because your existence threatens systems built on unconsciousness. Scripture says it plainly. The natural mind does not receive the things of the Spirit, for they are foolishness to it. Meaning this, there are layers of reality only accessible through spiritual perception. If you can sense what others cannot, feel what others ignore, discern truths others reject. It's not insanity, it's access. You are a bridge between worlds, physical and spiritual, seen and unseen. And that position gives you strategic advantage you haven't even begun to use. Because once you stop fighting your nature, once you accept your design, once you stop dimming your signal to match broken radios, something shifts. You become a living magnet, a focal point of divine attraction. The right people begin to find you without effort. The right opportunities align without force. Resources flow without manipulation, not because of luck, but because your frequency is calling them from the invisible realm. This is not generic law of attraction. This is kingdom law. Alignment precedes provision. When you align with heaven's frequency, heaven aligns with you. Now pause. Think of 3 people in your life who are drowning in noise. People trapped in fear cycles, people overwhelmed by external signals, people who cannot hear their own spirit anymore. When this message ends, send it to them, not to elevate yourself, but because those who hear their frequency carry responsibility. This is not about you alone. It's about building a network of aligned antennas, a community vibrating at 777. And when enough people awaken to their true frequency, atmospheres change, cities shift, nations feel it. But before we go further, there's something crucial you must understand. Now that you know you are an antenna, now that you understand frequency, the next question becomes unavoidable. How do you use this? How do you stop chasing and become the magnet? How do you activate divine attraction so what you need comes to you? And that is exactly what we unlock next. Stop chasing, right now, in this exact moment. Stop running after people who don't value you. Stop knocking on doors that stay closed. Stop begging for opportunities that keep ignoring you. Because there is a law in the kingdom that changes everything. A law that completely reverses the way you've been operating. And it says this: the chosen do not chase, the chosen attract. You were never designed to hunt. You were designed to be the magnet. And the moment you understand the difference between these two positions, your entire life begins to reorganize itself in ways you cannot yet imagine. Let me show you how this works. A magnet does not plead. A magnet does not convince. A magnet does not explain its worth. A magnet simply exists in its true nature, and everything compatible with its field is drawn toward it automatically. Inevitably, effortlessly, supernaturally. No anxiety, no forcing, no desperation, only alignment. And when you align with your true frequency, when you stop pretending, when you stop twisting yourself to fit spaces that were never built for you, something activates. You become a focal point of divine attraction. The right people begin looking for you. The right opportunities appear without pressure. The right resources flow toward you from places you didn't expect. Not because you chased them, but because your frequency called them. And this is not cheap positive thinking. This is not generic visualization. This is a spiritual mechanism governed by laws as real as gravity. Listen carefully, because this is critical. When you chase, you operate from scarcity. You declare through your actions that you are not enough, that you must convince, that you must prove your worth, that you must earn the right to be chosen. And that frequency repels exactly what you want, because desperation vibrates low, lack vibrates low, need vibrates low, and lack can only attract more lack. But when you stop chasing and stand firmly in who you are, when you anchor yourself in your identity as chosen, when you operate from fullness instead of emptiness, your frequency shifts, and that shift activates what I call divine magnetism. Divine magnetism is when God Himself turns your presence into a force so powerful that what belongs to you has no choice but to move toward you. Not because you are perfect, not because you have everything figured out, but because your frequency is aligned with purpose. And when that happens, heaven begins to conspire on your behalf. Now listen closely, because here is a truth few people are ever told. The silence you interpreted as abandonment was actually strategy. Those months, maybe years, where it felt like nothing was moving, where prayers seemed unanswered, where doors stayed closed, that was not punishment. That was calibration. God was refining you quietly, stripping away false dependencies, removing emotional crutches, detaching you from toxic connections you were using to fill a void only He could fill. He was teaching you how to stand alone, how to draw strength from Him, not from applause, not from validation, not from the crowd.